All right, let's talk about the key copywriting mistakes that business-to-business marketers make. The first is they don't use enough creativity and emotion. There's this assumption that business-to-business copywriting is just purely rational. It's just about the facts and the numbers. It's not true. The capacity to influence somebody in a business-to-business context does revolve around creativity and emotion. I would say that this is particularly true on the creative side when you're dealing with large businesses. And on the emotional side, probably matters more when you're dealing with small businesses. So going after the business owner who has a very personal vested interest. And those are just rough rules of thumb. But a good example of using creativity is Hewlett-Packard. So as your business-to-business company gets larger, you're going to start to want to do more brand marketing, more word-of-mouth style marketing, a little less on the direct response side. When you're a smaller business, it's more about offers, direct responses, lead generation, that sort of thing. So what Hewlett-Packard is doing in the enterprise space is marketing in a way where you would think it was Sesame Street, or you would think this is some sort of fun consumer product. It's actually a boring enterprise product, and they're saying tame the IT monster. So I'm just guessing here, but I assume that IT is like this monster, and that's how people describe it. It's this big, painful thing. I don't want to deal with it. It's a mess. It's a monster lurking in the corner. So they're appealing to that emotion, that pain that's associated with IT to help managers, help executives overcome it. And of course, the brand recall on something like this is going to be through the roof compared to any sort of generic, bland, unemotional, uncreative ad that most people would send out. Okay, another thing is the copywriting is too formal. It's too academic. It's not kind of one-on-one conversational tone. And the example I want to highlight here is an article from The Point, which is one of the best blogs for business-to-business direct response marketing, demand generation. And the author here is saying, but wait, there's more. That's kind of a cheesy line you would see on as seen on TV. Why cheesy copy still works. So that kind of cheesy, stimulating, over-the-top writing can actually be extremely effective in business-to-business copywriting. So a lot of that excitement gets sucked out of business-to-business copywriting, and if you really want to stand out and outperform, you should add it back in. Okay, another thing, there's this assumption, and I've heard this so many times working in marketing over the last decade. People say, oh, I want it to be brief, I want it to be pithy. But less is not always more, and this is a huge problem in copywriting, because if people want more information, give it to them. And it doesn't mean you need to crowd out your ad or your website with overwhelming amounts of text. You got to break it up. You can put it into little sections where the people that want to click it. The people that don't want to click aren't overwhelmed. You often want to use long headlines. And one of the ways that I see companies encourage the use of long descriptive headlines is they don't use title caps. So you can see here I use sentence caps. So the first letter is capitalized, but the other words are not capitalized unless they're proper nouns. So less is not always more, period, brief copy, period. This is more readable, especially if you had a really long title, like the kind of thing Ogilvy would use when he's describing how to market it or how to encourage people to get the Rolls Royce. Now, that's a consumer example, but you can see that in a lot of the business-to-business cases on websites, people just write these pithy, witty, like 2-sentence headlines, but you can go with really long descriptive stuff because that gives people enough information and enough descriptive excitement to get them interested in reading more. Okay, another thing business-to-business copywriters do is they assume benefits matter more than features. This is a huge myth that's circulating out there. At least from a copywriting perspective, no, benefits don't matter more than features, generally speaking. It's because the features provide enough information to prove that you're able to deliver in a specific context. And you also need to understand that not everybody buys your product because of its high-level benefits. So high-level benefits are things like emotional stuff. This makes me feel safe. This gives me status. This, at a company level, it's things like this increases profit, reduces costs, those sort of things. But what's lacking on all of those is the specific. What does it actually do? And that's going to be the question where people are scratching their head, looking at your landing page, your email, and they're just like, well, that's great that you provide growth or some sort of high-level benefit that every business-to-business company does. But I want to know the specifics, what you actually do, what product category are you in, and what features do you deliver.